Welcome to the So You're Ready to Date podcast. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Angie, and here's where we talk about all things dating, love, and relationships, and most importantly, having fun.
Join us for practical advice for dating successfully on your terms.
Welcome aboard
and enjoy the ride.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. We are diving into summer and diving into season 5. Can you believe it? We are on our 5th season of So You're Ready to Date. We've been having so much fun up until this point. So if you haven't checked out our past seasons, we invite you to go back and do that. But we're going to have an all new season with some great content coming up this season as well. And today we're just going to dive right in and talk about hitting the summer social scene, which should be a lot of fun because there's a lot of really great things to do in the summer, especially if you live in the north where it gets a little bit chilly in the winter. It is definitely time to get out and enjoy that nice weather.
Right. It's that time we're like, okay, sun is out. I should take advantage of the fact that it is not 32 below and covered in snow. And now we've gone the opposite direction. But because it's nicer weather, we want to make sure that we're giving you opportunities in ways that maybe you get outside of your comfort zone and get outside, not necessarily to find a date, but to practice socializing, because that's always a good skill to have whether it comes to dating in the future, but making friends and making connections with other people it's a skill that's transferable to everything. So we want to help you get out this summer and have some fun.
I think one of the big things when you're flying solo is taking a look at the roadblocks that are preventing you from getting out and doing stuff. And I know in the past, these are some of the ones that have come up for me, and starts with, I don't want to do things by myself.
Oof, yes. There's this stigma attached for so many people, like, oh, she's sitting at the bar, drinking by herself, or they're out to eat by themselves, or they're doing this thing by themselves. So there's this idea that somehow you can't make friends, and that's why you're out here doing something alone, when that may not be the case. Usually it's not the case. It may just be that the friends that you have aren't interested in this thing, their schedules didn't work. And sometimes this is a really good thing to do, is to be able to go out and do things by yourself and enjoy your own company.
Yes, learn to date yourself and enjoy it. And it gives you the opportunity to meet other people. And I've even gotten to the point now where I enjoy doing things by myself because I don't have to worry about somebody else's timeline. Even if somebody else isn't worried and they're telling me to take all the time that I want, but I want to spend 10 extra minutes doing something that they don't enjoy, I no longer have to feel rushed. I can just sit back and do what I want on my own timeline, which is really great, whether that is traveling, whether that's taking a class, whether that's learning a new skill. It's really nice sometimes to just be by yourself and be able to do it in your own way without having that nagging thing in the back of your mind kind of pushing you along or deterring you from the way that you would go through a process just because somebody else does it different than you.
Well, and the flip side's true of that too. You have this idea that this activity is going to be really great, and you show up and you're like, this is not the thing for me. And then you can immediately like, this was great. I got out of my comfort zone. I attempted this, and now I'm going to go do something that I know I enjoy. So yes, they may come out to be a wonderful, fabulous experience. But on the other side, when you're doing stuff by yourself, you get to be the one to make the call and be like, 5 minutes was enough for this activity. I'm going on to the next one. Or if you find you really enjoy it, you're like, I'm going to stick here for an extra half hour, 45 minutes, hour, whatever it wants to be. So there is a lot of freedom in you being the one in charge of the schedule, you being the one in charge of, am I enjoying this? Yeah, I'm sticking around. Am I not enjoying this? No, I'm going to explore something different.
That brings me to the next roadblock into getting out and socializing, summer or winter, but we're talking about summer right now. In the summertime is I don't know what to do. I don't know where to find activities. I don't know what to do. And I think we're going to have a lot longer conversation on that a little bit later in the episode. But That's one that had always gotten me stuck before.
Yes, I would say I fall victim to that all the time until I started doing this with a lot of different things. But most of us have a notes app on our phone, someplace that we can take notes. So it started with restaurants because my sister and I would be like, hey, we have people in town. Where should we take them? And then all of a sudden you draw a blank and there's like three restaurants that you remember. So we just started making a list of all the places that sometime we're going to attempt to go to when we can't figure out where we want to. So start doing that with activities. So something comes across your like Facebook timeline and maybe you're like, I'm not sure about it yet, but I'm going to write it down. Or you're at a barbecue or a party and somebody mentions something, you're like, I might want to try that. Start a list. Start creating this list of things that you might potentially want to do. So then that way, when you're like, I have 2 hours to kill, what can I do? You're starting to create a list of things that you know you have an interest in, and you don't have to just spend 2 hours figuring out what you're going to do and then run out of time.
Yes, I love that. As a matter of fact, I was recently someplace standing in line and I was talking to somebody and I asked a question and they started telling me and prattling off all of these different things and and places that I should go and things that I should do. And they stopped and they looked at me and they said, write that down. And I had to get my phone out with my pen. I'm like, okay. And then they would spell it for me. And I wrote it all down. And it really did come in handy because 2 or 3 days later, I was like, what was that again? Oh yeah, let's go do that. And it came in really handy. So I think that's a really great tip.
Well, like in all things, I gotten to the point where I have too many moments of why did I walk into this room? There's no way that I'm going to remember some probably lovely conversation I had at the grocery store line of something that I wanted to pay attention to if I don't write it down somewhere. So
And I think that note taking helps to keep us intentional, right? It's not last minute, oh, what should I do? It's, I have an interest in this. I cared enough about it to write it down. And for me, when I write something down, I remember it better too. So it's going to stick in my brain. Not only did I write it down so I can refer back to it, but I also put it in my brain so that it's top of mind so that I'm going to remember it and be able to go do those things.
yes, because if we can't remember it, right, we can't go out and do that. So speaking of, since we're still kind of on the topic of roadblocks and getting out and doing fun activities, summer often means shorts or swimsuits or tank tops. And sometimes for some people, that can be a big deterrent to getting out and doing more stuff. You don't want to be seen in a swimming suit. You don't want to be seen in the shorts. You don't want to be seen in any of that summer stuff. And this is never about saying that you have to wear those. This is about working to give yourself permission to wear what makes you feel good and to know that you don't have to look a certain way to go out and do these activities. You don't have to fit a particular body type, wear a specific size, do any of that to go out there and just enjoy summer in whatever way that feels good to you.
I love that. And you said something about wear what makes you feel good. And sometimes we can be self-conscious in something that we choose to put on, but we know that we want to wear it, even if we don't feel good in it when we originally put it on. If you want to go swimming, you can wear the swimsuit. And even if you don't feel good in it today, even if you don't feel comfortable in it right now, you can still wear it. You can give yourself permission to feel the way that you feel, but you can give yourself permission to wear that and then go enjoy yourself and have a good time and build that confidence up slowly. Sometimes you have to step out of your comfort zone and do that uncomfortable thing before that confidence comes. But believe me when I say your significant other, present or future, is going to love that self-confidence in you. They want somebody who is self-confident. So this is a great opportunity to start building on that for yourself.
Well, and this is something that I've had other people suggest. I've seen on social media, and it's something that I've actually done is, the thing that you're uncomfortable in, to just wear it around the house. Nobody says you have to go outside. If you want to go out in the yard and kind of practice getting outside of the comfort of your house, But nobody says you can't wear your swimsuit around the house while you get comfortable being in it. You want to practice wearing crop tops, wear them around the house. You want to practice wearing shorts, wear them around the house. Or if you're feeling brave, taking a little walk in the neighborhood. So there's this idea that, well, if I want to wear this, then I just have to be bold and go out there and wear it. You can. That's certainly one way to rip the band aid off and to try all this. But practicing at home, getting comfortable, knowing that if you're wearing a crop top, no, it's not going to go all the way down to your waist, and getting comfortable not pulling it down constantly. It's wearing that swimsuit around the house and knowing, okay, if I do this, how is it going to creep up? That might make you feel more comfortable if you're at the pool, knowing that it's not going to ride up and get inside your butt cheeks, whatever that might be. But finding that level of comfort in those clothes and your body in those clothes will eventually, this is like a process, eventually translate into you being able to wear them out in public and feeling like $1,000,000 like you should.
Exactly. I love that. And there's even steps beyond that. Once you kind of get ready and do that, I know, let's take a swimsuit, for example. If you maybe put a pair of shorts on over top of it, and maybe that's a step for you where you're wearing it and you're going in the water, but you're leaving your shorts on for a time being or something like that. So find those baby steps that work, because those baby steps are going to take you all the way to the top of the mountain, and start where you feel the most comfortable and build your confidence up. And then once you've built your confidence up, there won't be anything that will be able to stop you, which is kind of an amazing feeling.
And since we're on this point, get in the picture. I don't care what your arms look like, what your legs look like. Make sure you're in pictures, because you are going to come to a point where you're going to regret not taking a moment to have a picture with that best friend, with your niece, your nephew, your kids. Encourage yourself to get in the picture more. And I think you'll start to desensitize trying to pick out all of the things. But summer is about making memories, and making memories right now is about filming yourself and taking pictures. And maybe it doesn't have to be every single time, but take more opportunities to get yourself in the pictures, because I guarantee at some point somebody's going to want to look back and they'll be like, where's so and so? Just get in the damn picture.
I love it. I love it. That's great advice. And again, a way to start building up your confidence. When you start doing things, it can be super hard at first. It can feel very uncomfortable. But like with anything, the more you do it, the more comfortable you're going to get. Maybe you take those pictures and don't let anybody see them. And eventually you're just going to be natural. And before you know it, somebody's going to snap a picture and you're not going to care anymore. And so that's a pretty amazing feeling too. So I like that advice. But whatever it is that's stopping you, start small, however small you need to, take a baby step and start to acclimate to it and build some comfort with it, because in the end you will thank yourself for that.
Right. And tap into that resource. You've got to have like a teenager somewhere who's an influencer of some sort who knows how to pose you. Right. So take advantage of those resources too.
Yes. Yes. But let's get back into the meat of what we really wanted to talk about, is that summer social scene and really understanding where you can go to find things and go out and do that. Because a lot of times when we're in our own environments and we're not venturing to a new city or not traveling, sometimes it feels redundant and like we don't know what to do because we've done it all, or we don't know what the resources are, or we don't have any good ideas. We started talking about a little bit of that here, but I think we've come up with some really great ideas for venturing out even further and expanding that even more.
Yes, because I think, again, you don't want to, I always have that feeling when I look back at the summer and I'm like, oh man, there were more things that I was going to get out there and do. I was going to take advantage of more of those nice days. So being intentional, we always talk about intention on the podcast. So being intentional about your summer hopefully means that by the end of the summer, you feel like you've hit what you wanted to do. You've made the best use of the wonderful weather that you hopefully have.
So, with being intentional, we've already started talking about making a list. But I think you were talking about a really great idea earlier off camera about a making a summer challenge between you and your BFFs, or maybe you and your kids, or you and your significant other if you are already coupled up. But if you're flying solo and still looking for that opportunity to mix and mingle in public, maybe it's with your kids or your friends.
Right. I mean, maybe it's, yeah, your friend group, and you decide, okay, at the end of the summer, whoever has the most points gets X kind of a prize, or whoever doesn't have as many points has to buy beer, whatever you want that to be. But taking some time and thinking about, what do you want to do this summer? How can you challenge yourself and maybe your friend group to get out of their comfort zone? Are you having like a no social media day? Do you want to get out and see who can collect the most seashells if you happen to go to the beach? So finding ways to not only involve your community, but get yourself maybe out there and challenging yourself to get out and do things and try things and just get out and enjoy the season.
I love that. I remember when I was much younger, we won't talk about how many years ago, but my friends and I had an intentional challenge. It was a little different than a summer challenge, but at the end, the prize was like a 3 foot gnome lamp that was absolutely hideous that nobody actually wanted, but we still had this competition for it because it was the badge of honor to have this 3 foot gnome lamp. So whatever it is, if you have some stupid trinket that's just laying around that has no real value, but you want to use that as the prize and pass the torch around, that can be a lot of fun too. That made for a really friendly competition for absolutely no reason, and something that nobody really wanted other than just to say that we had it for that period of time.
Bragging rights are a big thing, right? So don't discount. Well, this would be something that maybe everybody writes out their summer bucket list, and whoever can cross off the most wins this. Nobody, it doesn't necessarily have to be that everybody has to do the same thing, but just challenging each other to get out and push that comfort zone, kind of push yourself to see what you can actually do over these summer months so that you have made way more memories than you could ever imagine.
I've talked to a lot of people who tell me that they don't have a bucket list. So you were just talking about that. I think that's a great way to do it, is to sit down and start writing a bucket list. So how do you do that? Just sit down and start brainstorming 50 activities that you can think of, 50 things that you've never done, 50, write 1 through 50 on a sheet of paper and start writing down things that you've never done. And as you're doing that, things that you would enjoy, things that you want to do will come up and start to be on that list. And it doesn't have to be 50, it can be 100, it can be 75. But I would challenge you to make 50 the minimum, because that's going to clear the brain fog, and that's going to let the creative ideas come and flow and let you use your imagination to get into things that you personally would really enjoy, rather than just these big items like whitewater rafting or jumping out of an airplane that you hear everybody else talk about.
Well, and I think it's an opportunity to not censor yourself as well. Like you said, let every idea, matter how big, small, silly, impossible it feels, in, outside of, you know, breaking the law, right? But really let yourself just dump everything out. And the less you censor yourself, the more you can just kind of start getting those things off. Anything you've ever at one point when you were 6 decided you wanted to do, get it on the list. And if you run out of ideas, Pinterest is always a great way to, or Google or anything like that, to just kind of go out there and maybe spark a little bit of something if you're kind of curious. But sometimes tap back into your childhood. What did you really want to do as a kid that you never got to, or that you would like to do again as an adult? Just because you maybe have done it once doesn't mean you can't put that on the bucket list to try it and experience it again in this different frame and different part of your life.
I love what you said. Get it all out there and let that all come. Because one of the things is, when you start writing ideas and you stop yourself and say, no, not that, you've interrupted that flow of creativity. So no matter how big or small it is, whether it is publishing a book or writing a book or taking a walk down the block. Whatever it is that comes to your mind, it should go on the list. You can always go through after you've gotten everything out, after your brain is done, after you can't think of anything else. You can go back through and you can pick the items that you actually feel connected with and that you actually want on your bucket list and make that shorter list, longer list, whatever that looks like. And you could take off the stuff that you really don't have any desire to do, but don't filter yourself until after you've written the list.
Yeah. Yeah, you can go back and cut it. Like you said, I like that idea of like, okay, I wrote that down because at once I had an ex-boyfriend who said I needed to do that, or my mom's always wanted. So yeah, you can have those down there, but then going back and being like, what are the top 10 for me that I really want to attempt to try to get to do? And it's much easier if you have a bigger list to pull from.
Yes, that is true too. And then if you're looking, you were talking about looking for different ideas and using Pinterest. Facebook events is a really great place to go find ideas and branch out because so many people use Facebook events and put their stuff on there. You can find some really interesting things that you may not have been aware of are happening in your community. And those can be added to your list that you wrote down of things that look interesting. They can be added to your calendar right from Facebook events. They could potentially be added to your bucket list or not so much, whatever that looks like. But using Facebook events to just find other opportunities to get out into the community and socialize can be a great use of a readily available free resource.
Right. And then other resources too. I know one of our local news stations put out like boredom busters every week. So looking for other resources, I think you had mentioned, Angie, we were talking before we got on that we had just been in Charlotte and they had this little, it was an app, right? Was Charlotte on the cheap that had all of these really amazing suggestions. So maybe asking friends or digging a little deeper to see if there are any resources where you live that might highlight events and things going on around town that maybe you wouldn't be aware of or you wouldn't think you might be interested in, but it might just be because it's on your bucket list right up your alley this year.
Right. Or, different apps that have different things. I know Meetup's not real big in Sioux Falls, but I know other areas have used Meetup as a free place to, well, I think it's not free to post, but I think for classes and for other events, you can find those on Meetup. But I know that that's not real big where we're at. So some of those smaller areas, it might not be a big thing, but in some of those more urban situations, that could be another free resource too. So using those online resources to find those events and using the resources that you're probably already using somewhat in your daily life.
Well, and it's sort of slightly off topic, but because we're talking about apps, I haven't heard very many people who have used Bumble BFF, but I know that that might be a possibility, not necessarily to find activities, but maybe to find somebody to go out and, go watch that new Marvel movie, go mini golfing, go do Dungeons and Dragons night, whatever it might be, but finding like those apps and those other resources that maybe won't connect you to the event specifically, but maybe bring you into a circle of people who have similar interests to you, like Meetup or Bumble. And then from there, it might open up a whole new world of activities for you to do.
Yes, absolutely. And if you're looking for people to go do stuff with, a really great way to meet new friends, both of the same sex, opposite sex, friends, or even potential dates would be to join a league of some sort, whether that be volleyball or whether you like to bowl or throw darts or bean bags. I know here we have beanbag leagues. So something like that can get you in the mix with other people that you can socialize with on a weekly basis and can help develop your friend group and help develop that social circle so that you can meet more people and ultimately find that date because that is what we're talking about here.
Yeah, because it's prime season. We got softball, baseball, kickball, soccer. There are always running clubs going, I'm sure, year round as well. So it it might be that you feel like you're not sporty, and I get that, but can probably guarantee that there is some sort of team for every level. So if you really want to try something, then reaching out to people, maybe it's finding where people practice and going and checking that stuff out as well. You can sort of stalk them a little bit, just see if it might be for you. And it might be end up being something that you really fall in love with, but just giving yourself the chance and the opportunity to at least try.
Yes, I love that, to just get out there and do something new. It's nothing's going to change if nothing changes, right? So, what changes can you incorporate? What can you bring out for yourself this summer to meet the goals that you have for yourself in dating, in your personal life, in your social life, in whatever that is? What needs to change for you to meet those goals? And how can you take those baby steps?
Yeah, because ultimately, don't you just want to have a summer of more fun? So, what is more fun to you? Does that mean getting to the winery and doing a tour there? Is it having a campfire with friends? So, finding those ways that you can bring more joy and happiness into your life is never going to steer you wrong. And I think it'll only, again, like we talked about earlier, build that confidence in being like, yeah, I know that I'm awesome because I'm curating this intentional life of fun and joy. And if you want to come along, it's pretty awesome over here.
Yes, it's really awesome. The side of the fence, the grass is really green and love it. And the thing is confidence attracts people. Just in general, confidence attracts people. So when you become more confident, you're going to attract the type of people into your life that you're going to want, because you also want confident people. So again, baby steps about creating an intentional life that you enjoy living and that you get to bring somebody along because you want them there, not because you need them there.
Because that's, again, at the end of the day, friends, partners, boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands, and wives should always be adding to our lives and not being a drain on our time, energy, feelings, whatever it is. We want to add more people who are going to make our lives that much more awesome.
And doing stuff will make you interesting. You want to have something to talk about when you go out on that date. What do you like to do? And if you're not out doing anything, sometimes there can be some awkward silences as you're thinking of what to say and how to respond to some of those questions. If you're out doing stuff and creating this intentional life and doing all of this awesome stuff, you will be a very interesting person, whether you are on a date or talking to your friends or making small talk with a stranger standing in line.
Yeah, it's all about just that comfort and that confidence and being just who you are. So, we would like to hear, what are your favorite summer activities, because we hit on like a few, and not like there's probably bazillion more that we haven't hit on, because depending on where you are in the country, maybe you have fun new things that we haven't even thought of. So we want to hear all of your favorite summer fun activities. Email us at so you're ready to date at gmail.com. If you've got dating questions, if you've got fun dating stories, we want to hear those as well, or topics that you want us to cover, guests you maybe want to hear from. We're open to anything and everything, as we want to make sure that the episodes provide content that works well for you, because we're not just talking for ourselves here, people. We're talking to bring good information to the masses. So make sure we're giving you that good information. If you haven't already, make sure you've liked and subscribed. I don't remember all of the wording here. If you're on Spotify, make sure you follow us. If you're on like iTunes, make sure you have subscribed so that you know when new episodes come out, and rate and review us everywhere. Give us 5 stars so that other people know that we're a bunch of fun and so awesome to follow. Anything else we need to? Perfect.
That was it.
All right, we got all of the we got all the good stuff in there. Come back next week for something more awesome.